8:37 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. Brian Wilson here. Over there is Brian Neiman. And on the line with us is Lorie Medina from the Texas Tea Party. And why is Lorie on the show? Well, because last night in the state of Texas, the Texas Tea Party pulled off a huge victory, and they got their guy through the primary. And because the last time the Democrats sent a Senate member to the Senate in the United States Senate was 1988, I believe. Wow. It was Lloyd Benson. It seems as if this guy, Ted Cruz, is actually going to be the next senator from the state of Texas. Lorie, how are you?
I am awesome this morning.
All right, so Lorie, I was in Texas, I guess it's a few months ago, and yeah. I'm there with you, and you say, "Hey, yep. Brian, I want you to meet the next senator from the state of Texas," and his name is Ted Cruz. And I said, "Well, it's good to meet you, Ted." And I sort of like, well, hold it. He's going to go up against this lieutenant governor, a guy named David Dewhurst, a very powerful man, a man who's well-financed, will have the support of the governor. Lorie, with all due respect, I wasn't sure that I should believe what you said, but I turned out to be wrong.
He's a believer this morning, Lorie.
I'm a believer.
Brian, haven't you learned by now that you should listen to me more often?
That's right. Well, now, look, I mean, this was an uphill battle. You will admit that.
Oh, yes.
Now,
yes,
Ted Cruz wins 57-43. What was going on? How did the Tea Party pull this off?
Oh, my goodness. Brian, this was such an amazing victory, and this is like 18 months in the making. So, you know, I laugh at these news reports that make it sound like it just happened in the last few days. It's been 18 months that we've been talking and working with Ted, and poor Ted, day and night, away from his family, his young family, visiting, going to every Tea Party, every grassroots organization, every Republican women's club you could ever imagine, in every nook and cranny of the state. And he has showed up at every forum, every debate, to get his message out and to just simply get to know people, for them to understand who he is and personally and what his background is and how he's going to represent them.
But you're being modest here, because a lot of it has to do with the fact that the Tea Party was very well organized and was working sort of beneath the radar to make sure this guy got a fair hearing in the state.
Well, and that's you're exactly right. We did. We worked to facilitate, to allow him to be in these important spots all around the state so that he could be heard. We made sure that he received all these introductions, these great introductions into these organizations and groups. So, yes, we definitely facilitated that. And then, of course, to get out the vote, we were very organized.
All right, Lorie, why do you like Ted Cruz so much? Why does the Tea Party love him? And, give us a background of who Ted Cruz is.
Well, I mean, it's hard not to love this guy. I mean, first of all, he's got, like, the personal story out of a Hollywood movie. His dad was a freedom fighter against Fidel Castro, was thrown in jail, and as a young teenager, was beaten, almost tortured to death by Fidel Castro and his thugs, got out of Cuba, made his way to Texas with $100 taped into his underwear, and worked as a bottle washer, started a business, had Ted. Ted was born in Texas, and then he, worked his way up, went to Harvard, Yale. It's just a fabulous story. Ted then went on to become Solicitor General of Texas, and he fought in front of the Supreme Court on behalf of Texas on such fabulous things like preserving the Ten Commandments in Texas. He fought against immigration, illegal immigration reforms and laws here in Texas. He stood up against the UN in front of the Supreme Court. He's done such incredible things. As a young boy, he actually went around the country and would answer questions and do speeches on the U.S. Constitution. So, I mean, this guy is like a Hollywood character. If you were describing who could be the best U.S. Senate, this is the guy.
All right, we're talking with Lorie Medina, Tea Party activist in Texas. Is there anybody in particular who you hope Ted Cruz turns out to be? I guess you're going to say you hope he turns out to be Ted Cruz, but do you want him to be like Jim DeMint? I know there are a lot of people who conservatives will say, is he the next Jim DeMint? Do you see that?
Well, I mean, I think we see Jim DeMint as pulling together this fabulous gang of young buck conservatives, and I love it that they already have this collegial spirit together. I mean, a bunch of them were down here over this last weekend campaigning for Ted and helping to fundraise, and so I see this as just this fabulous group of tough young conservative senators that's going to change the Senate, finally. Like we've seen some changes in the House. I'm ready to see it in the Senate.
I have often heard in this town, oh, well, the Tea Party's its prominence has passed. They hit their high water mark some time ago. They're not the force they once were. And when I hear that, based on what I know from talking to you and some other people within the movement, I've come to the understanding that you didn't go away. You just decided to take a different approach. Is that fair?
Well, I just think we're not standing on street corners anymore with signs telling Obama that Obamacare stinks. We basically got involved locally to create local organizations and started making local changes in our own backyards and creating a template so that when these large statewide elections came along, we were ready and prepared to make change.
And to those who suggest that when it comes time to vote for the next president of the United States, that the Tea Party will not be enthused about Mitt Romney, what would you say to them?
I'd say that's crazy. There's so much angst and frustration and disappointment and anger, really, against Obama that, not to take away from Mitt Romney, but really Mitt Romney doesn't have to be the perfect candidate. It's taking down Obama. That is this election.
Is there anyone in particular you would like to see Mitt Romney choose as his running mates? Is there any buzz within the Tea Party of who the person would be that would really get everyone excited?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think this is such an over-talk thing, but I think, we'd love to have Marco Rubio, but I'm not expecting it. I am expecting a boring old white guy. So,
is there anything wrong with that?
Well, boring old white guy. That's kind of the way it's looking. But that's for Romney. Romney tends to be a little more safe and a little more boring. But listen, it's his pick. It's not my pick.
All right. Lorie, it is so good to hear your voice again this morning. Good friend of this program. Lorie Medina, who is, they don't have elected officials or appointed leaders, but she is definitely a person who's very plugged in to what's going on with the Texas Tea Party. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.